There's something I'm going to tell you guys about Lester Crest that most people who played GTA 5 for hundreds of hours and doing missions don't even know this. He never robs a bank himself. He never picks up a gun for most of the story. He sits in a wheelchair in a dark house making calls, and by the end of the game, 3 separate people have risked prison, their families, and their lives, while same as before, Lester walks away with a cut of everything, and never once puts himself in the room where the danger actually happens. I'm going to start from the beginning, because this pattern is there from the very first job he sets up, the heist in Ludendorff back in 2004, the one that opens the entire game. That's Lester's plan. Michael, Trevor, and Brad go in, things go wrong, Brad ends up dead, shot by an FBI agent named Dave Norton. Michael gets shot too, but survives and cuts a deal to fake his own death and disappear into a new identity in Los Santos. Lester wasn't in the building when it went wrong. Lester was the one who built the plan. Now, fast forward 9 years. Michael's living a fake life as Michael DeSanta. Trevor thinks his old partner is dead, and Lester is the only person who stayed in contact with both of them the entire time, without either one fully realizing it. When Michael finally asks Lester straight up, "What happened to Trevor?" he doesn't say, "I don't know." He says this: "North, south, east, west, wherever there were liquor stores to turn over and hitchhikers to disappear." That's not a guess. That's a specific description of Trevor's actual operation. The meth lab disguised as a liquor store, the hitchhikers he was delivering to the altruist cult. Lester already knew. He just didn't say it plainly, because a Michael who thinks his best friend might be dead is a Michael who stays exactly where Lester needs him, available and unsettled. Then look at what Lester does once Michael and Franklin are both fully in his orbit. He starts running Franklin through a series of assassination missions. And here's the part that matters. In the very first one, the hotel assassination, Lester sits Franklin down and explains the whole scheme himself. Buy stock in a company's rival, kill a major figure at that company, watch the stock swing, sell at the top. The first target is a man named Brett Lowry, a pharmaceutical CEO whose company made a drug that was causing heart attacks. Franklin hesitates because killing someone for a stock trade doesn't sit right with him, and Lester's response is basically, "Don't worry about it. These people are terrible anyway." That's the justification Lester offers a 20-something kid he just met through Michael to convince him to start murdering CEOs for a stock portfolio. And according to the game's own mission records, this isn't a one-time thing. Every one of those assassination missions gets framed by Lester as personal, like there's history, like there's a reason it has to be Franklin pulling the trigger. But most of the time, underneath that framing, it's just Lester making money. He's not risking anything. He's not in the room. Franklin is the one on a rooftop with a sniper rifle or planting a bomb under a car, and Lester is the one who profits from wherever the stock lands. Here's the detail that ties it all together though. Michael doesn't fully know how deep any of this goes. He doesn't know exactly how much Lester's been controlling behind the scenes with Trevor. He doesn't know the full extent of what Lester is having Franklin do on the side for personal profit. Lester compartmentalizes everyone. Michael only sees his piece. Franklin only sees his piece. Trevor doesn't even know Lester's been tracking him the whole time. The only person in this story who sees the entire board is Lester, because he built it that way on purpose. And then there's the ending, which I think is the most telling thing Lester does in the entire game. After everything, after the biggest heist of their lives, Lester turns to Franklin and tells him he has to make a decision. Kill Trevor, kill Michael, or find a way to save them both by going after the people actually threatening all of them. And Lester frames this like it's simply how things have to be, like there's no other option, like he's just the messenger delivering bad news. But think about who's actually asking for this. Lester isn't the one who has to pull a trigger on a friend. He's not risking his own relationship with anyone. He hands Franklin an impossible choice, steps back, and lets someone else carry the weight of whatever happens next. Exactly like he's done with every other risk in this entire story. That's the actual pattern once you see it laid out start to finish. Ludendorff, Lester built the plan and someone else took the bullet. 9 years of silence about Trevor, Lester controlled the information and Michael carried the grief. The assassination missions, Lester designed the scheme and Franklin pulled the trigger. And at the very end, Lester hands off the hardest decision in the entire game and lets Franklin live with whatever comes after. Every single time, Lester positions himself exactly one step removed from the actual danger, while everyone closest to him absorbs it directly. And I think that's genuinely worse than being a straightforward villain. Trevor is dangerous and everyone around him knows it immediately. Lester never raises his voice, never picks up a weapon in most of the story, and he's arguably the person who costs Michael and Franklin the most by the time the credits roll. He doesn't manipulate people through fear. He manipulates them through information, deciding exactly what each person gets to know and exactly when they're allowed to know it. So here's the actual question worth sitting with. Was Lester ever really their friend in this story, or was he always just the one person calculating what version of the truth kept everyone else the most useful to him? So what do you guys think? Was Lester the real villain of GTA 5, hiding behind Trevor and the actual criminals the whole time? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know. And if you haven't seen my video on why GTA 3 feels so scary and disturbing, go watch that one. Rockstar has been building characters like this for a very long time. I'll meet you there.